obviously we got a great football team coming in here Saturday. Coach Holliday, they're a well-coached team. They're extremely talented. Any team that can go up to Penn State and win up there in State College is an excellent team, and they were a 10-win team a year ago. So it's important we have a great week of preparation, and that's the plan right now. So we want to take any questions you have. Chuck, we'll start with you since it's your birthday.
Okay. What about Ohio's running game?
Well, they're excellent. I mean, I think if you look at I don't think I know when you look at Ohio University, you see an offensive line that's extremely physical. It's where it starts. You add Tyler Tettleton to that group, who's just an excellent quarterback, makes great decisions. He can beat you with his feet. Then you add Boo Blankenship, the running back in there, runs extremely hard. They got some skilled guys that can go play. So overall, they create a lot of issues for you. They can run it, they can throw it, and they're extremely physical up front. So there'll be a challenge for us, and our defense has to play extremely well. We got to tackle well.
How do you cope with that defensively, with the way you guys have been playing with a lot of safeties and smaller, faster guys?
They're a very physical team, but they still spread you out. I mean, they still spread you out, and they do a lot of the thing they do where they create a lot of issues for you is they go a lot of two tight end stuff, but they'll line up in two tights and one back and two wides, but they'll still end up with four wides where they flex those tight ends out and do different deals with them. So they give you a lot of formations out of the same personnel grouping, so they create some issues as far as matchup problems for you. But we really, to be honest, especially last week, we only played one personnel grouping defensively, and that's we took DJ and played him a little bit of linebacker, which he can also gives the opportunity to play nickel also out of that set because he is athletic and can play in space. So they create issues because they're personnel groupings with multiple formations, but defensively you got to be extremely sharp, be able to match up to the personnel.
Coach, every game is big, but some games seem bigger. Does this one have a different feel to you?
It's big as it's the next one. I mean, it's just if you look at our schedule, the last couple, they're all big, and I think the thing I thought our football team did a good job a year ago is we played them one at a time, and we got to do the same thing now. It's big because it's the next one. It's big because it's home, and our kids enjoy playing in the stadium, so it should be a fun night. It's going to be a great night to come in against an excellent football team. They're a team that's getting votes in the top 25, and they deserve it. And they were a 10-win team a year ago, as I'd mentioned. They went to Penn State and won on the road, so it'll be a tremendous challenge for us in here Saturday night.
After what happened last year's game, it can't be too hard for you to get your kids ready to play for this game.
Well, I mean, you need to be ready to play regardless, and
especially.
Yeah, no question. Because there's no question we didn't play well a year ago, so I'm not sure our kids. Hopefully, I don't need to bring that up. They should know that.
Very experienced offensive line coming back and talk about righting the ship. WVU's offensive line was able to handle you all pretty well. What have you all done to prepare over the last?
We got guys in there playing and didn't play against that group, and they got another game under their belt. I mean, defensively, we talk, the progress. I thought we made good progress from week 1 to week 2, and I don't think it's a personnel issue on defense at all. I think it's guys that hadn't played a lot that got to continue to grow up and get better quick. Dylan and Samuel really played their first football last week. They're both freshmen, and they're talented guys that need to grow up quick. And Sparrow and Aiken went in and played well, and some other young guys. Armand did a nice job on a couple of deals. He's got to play more, but I think there's some talent. We have some talented guys over there that just need experience and need to grow up quick. And because of the type of team we got coming in Saturday, they got to make great progress in the next 3 days.
So is DJ Hunter the linebacker? Is that a permanent move? Is it etched in stone, or could that be component to it?
No, I think it could be opponent to opponent, but I think he's physical enough he can play in there. And what we asked that linebacker to do, he's covered up a lot, and he's out in space and doing some things. So he's comfortable there, and I thought he did well. I mean, you watch. The way he played, I thought he played well. Last week he hadn't played a game in 3 years. He's finally got his feet wet, and he went and did some good things. I thought Evan McKelvey went in and made tremendous strides last week. He made some plays in space, did some good things, and we just have to continue to grow as a defense and work extremely hard. And the one great improvement we made was we only had 9 missed tackles a week ago. This past week, and anytime we can get into single-digit missed tackles, that's a good thing. You normally win games, and it's going to be important that we tackle well Saturday because Blankenship is an extremely hard runner that's evasive. He's got great speed. and so does the quarterback.
But that, with Ohio's offensive line and the way they like to grind a little bit, the running game, how pleased were you to be able to substitute the defensive tackles in tandem like you did last year,
Well,
bringing Samuel and Dylan in together?
You have to be able to do that. I mean, they have to, and the pace they go too. I mean, they're an up-tempo team that similar to us in certain ways, that they try to run a lot of plays and keep you on the field, and you're going to have to substitute and play some people. And Samuel and Dylan and those two ends rotated in there, and we've rolled some defensive linemen. Big Cheese rolled in there some. So we had to be able to substitute those guys to give them a break at times. And I thought, and last week was good to see that, and we have to continue to do that throughout the season.
You talk a little bit more about Devlin. What kind of, how would you compare him to what you've faced so far?
Well, I think when you talk about, there's no doubt that he's got all the intangibles. He's got great leadership skills. He's extremely tough. He makes great decisions, and you can just tell by watching him play that he's got great respect of his teammates, and he's what a quarterback's all about. I've said all along that to me that the quarterback position, the tangibles, are the most important thing, and there's no doubt he has that. And he's a guy that he's a winner. I mean, last year I think it was the first year he went in there and played, and he won 10 games and won bowl game for the first time in the history of the school. So, he's an excellent player that brings a lot to the table, and you better, like I say, when you talk about them, it starts with him because he's a leader. There's no doubt he's a leader of that offense.
Doc, they've been a little bit of a slow starting team, if you will, and 38 points on the third quarter tells me that Coach Solich is making some great adjustments at halftime.
Well, that and their kids are well conditioned and they play extremely hard, and he's a good coach. I mean, he's a great coach. I mean, what did he get fired when he won 10 games? The year he won 10 games, he got fired. So I mean, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. But there's no doubt he's been successful wherever he's been. So he's an excellent coach, and we all know that he'll have him well prepared.
You're talking about the decrease in missed tackles. Where do you, in making that improvement, where do you think the focus of that improvement was? Was it scheme? Was it effort? Was it just hitting and wrapping?
Well, it's all the above. And the other thing was we weren't chasing Tavon Austin. Some of those guys around too. So, I mean, a lot of it's personnel driven. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys miss tackles against a couple of those guys we played a couple of weeks ago. So, it's personnel a little bit too. But we got better. And we worked extremely hard at it, and we have to continue to do that every week. And this group coming in here Saturday night now, you better, Blankenship and Tettleton, those guys, you better wrap them up too, or they'll do the same thing to us. We have to be an excellent tackling team, and we spend a lot of time working on those in those areas.
And with Tettleton coming in, and Coach Solich was mentioning he can get you with your arm and the leg. How beneficial was it to play a guy like Eddie, who was kind of able to does the same thing. That's kind of his thing too.
No doubt. I mean, Eddie's not Tettleton by any stretch now, but he's similar in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
But Tettleton, you got to contain him and you got to run him down, and he's created a lot of issues for a lot of people, including Penn State and some really good people they've played. And you watch that Utah State game from a year ago in the bowl game, and Utah State's a pretty solid team. Now, they beat Utah the other night, and they have athletes. He created a lot of issues for them too. So it'll be a great challenge for us, and we got to have a great week of preparation and prepare for that because he's really a talented guy.
Coach, the fact that you have been able to score some points, how much symbolically does that take a little stress off the defense, knowing that you guys have been able to move the ball?
Well, I think it helps, but I think the last couple of years we've had to grind out points, and we had to find ways to win with special teams and play, and the reason we won the last year especially because of our kicking game. It wasn't because of offense and defense, and now being able to score some points, that helps. But I still believe the plan to win always will be to play great defense. I mean, I think to win championships, you have to do that. And, I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're playing great defense right now. We have to get a lot better in that area, but having the opportunity to score some points, there's no doubt that helps. And, the only stat that concerns me offensively is number one, you win the game. There's like three of them. You win the game, take care of the football, and score in the red zone. And two, we've done a good job last week. We didn't turn it over. I think we're 13 out of 14 scoring in the red zone. I know we're about 95% of those have been touchdowns. So, I felt pretty good the last couple of weeks as far as when we got in the red zone. We were able to take care of business, and last week we did a good job of taking care of the football. That's the most important thing to me offensively. The rest of it takes care of itself.
Yeah,
With the pace.
Go ahead.
Tettleton,
What about Cato? Where is he in that process?
Yeah, I think he's, I think the biggest thing I liked about him last week is he took care of the ball. We didn't turn it over, and again, that's the most important stat that we can have offensively. But other than that, I think he's grown up tremendously. I think he's, he's making good decisions, and he's putting the ball at the right, he's getting the ball in the right people's hands, and he's running the show. I mean, he's out there. He's under control. He's running the show, and he's made great strides. Now, he's still a young guy. He's still a true sophomore into his second game. So, he's got a lot of room for improvement, and he's working extremely hard to become the best quarterback he can become. But I'm happy where he is at this point.
Doc, you had a couple of pieces missing on the offensive line. How'd they play without those guys, and are they going to be back this week?
They'll be back this week. I think Schooler's one guy that I'm extremely pleased with. And he's playing as well as anybody. And this is the first time we've really gotten anything out of that kid. And I told him that. I mean, he's playing well. He's gone in there and done a nice job. And Cam D's the true freshman, went in and played 60 snaps Saturday and graded out extremely well. So, it's great to see some young guys. And Schooler's not particularly a young guy; he's a junior. But to go in there and when a couple guys can't go and play well, and those two guys did that. We'll have Level could have played Saturday and didn't. And Garrett should do some things today, so we should be fine.
Is Bruin okay? Or?
Yeah, Bruin's got a little bit of an issue, but it's not. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
With mixing and matching on the offensive line, that contributed to 3.5 yards per carry for your run game, and you're still kind of running back by committee. Are you narrowing that down, maybe where you want to get down to 2-3 guys?
No, I don't think so. I think all four of those guys can play and will play. I mean, I think the one thing that we've done where we've helped ourselves is I think we snapped it 105 times that first game. We snapped it 90 plus the second game. Whenever you got that number of plays, you can play a lot more people. And Butler and Grooms and Remy and Trayvon have all showed they can play, and they deserve playing time, and they'll continue to play.
You think you're averaging about 32 more plays per game from last year to this year. Are you seeing the benefits of that? Are you seeing points where you're catching defenses off guard because you're moving at such a rapid pace, and that they're not being able to substitute, so fatigue level sets in a little bit more for them?
I think that's helped us. We worked extremely hard at that, but also it gives us 32 more opportunities to put the ball in Aaron Dobson's and Tay Wilson's and Schuler's and Butler's and Grooms and Trayvon and Remy's hands. I mean, if you get 32 more snaps a game, you can average 4 to 5 yards a play. That's well over 100 more yards of total offense per game, and it's kind of been our goal. We feel like right now that we have some guys that can make some plays, and giving us 32 more opportunities, that gives us 32 more chances to get to put the ball in their hands to make something happen, which I think is a good thing.
Was that something you tried to do last year but felt that you couldn't, or was this something that, knowing that you had the weapons you had this year offensively, you're like, okay, let's do this because I know we can?
Well, this was something that when I took the job, that was what we wanted to get done. When I took the job, we had one scholarship tailback. And we had 2 walk-ons. Tron Martinez and Talaferro were walk-ons. And when I took the job, I had about 1 or 2 wideouts. That was it. To play at that pace, you got to play a lot of kids. I mean, if I went in there and ran 105 snaps with Aaron Dobson, which is about all I had, and I hurt Tay the first year, he wouldn't have got to the fourth quarter. So we've had to modify it a little bit, and it took some time to get the skill kids needed, and even the offensive line to a point that we could do it. But I think now we're at that point where we can continue to play fast, and we have enough skill. We had 18 kids touch the ball the first game, I think it was. I'm not sure exactly last week, Jason, you may know that, but I'm sure it was well over 14 different guys touch the ball. So we now have guys that we can run in and keep people fresh in there all the time, which helps us to try to do a better job of taking advantage of what that defense gives us and hopefully get those guys worn down a little bit.
Coach, Aaron talked a little bit, it's almost like basketball, the more guys you get involved, the more fun it is. Are you seeing that they're having fun?
Yeah, a lot of times where you have issues, when you got a lot of skilled kids that are talented young guys, when they don't touch the ball, you have issues with it. And that's normal. I want good players that want the ball in their hands. And if you snap it 65 times and some of those kids don't get to play, it creates issues. Whereas now, these kids are having fun. They know they're going to play. They're in rotations. I don't know how many wideouts exactly. Jared's rolling in there, but every 3 or 4 plays, you got a new group running in there, and they're all excited. They all can make plays. And same thing with the running backs. So I think it helps you overall as far as team morale goes, and the kids know they're going to play and they prepare to play. And so far up to this point, it's been good. We got to make sure it continues to be good.
You had one drive In particular, I think it was the second quarter in which it was just Grooms and just Butler. I mean, there were like 9 or 10 plays in a row. What's that feeling like, seeing those guys see that on film, and do you see them just sort of boost up and bring it to practice the next week?
Yeah, it does, because they know they're going to play. You know, if I got a guy the caliber of Grooms, Butler, Watson, or Van sitting over at practice, know they're not playing. Because they got no. They either practice hard or they don't play. I mean, that's no issue. Whether it was 65 or 105, I mean, they're going to go harder. They're not going to play. But you know, it gives it. They know they're going to play. You know, they know there's going to be snaps in there where they're going to get the ball in their hands, and there's no doubt it helps your morale and helps the team morale. There's no doubt about that.
Back to moving DJ Hunter, it seems like you haven't been afraid to move a 190-pound guy to linebacker.
Mhm.
And up at Ohio, Solich moved Nate Carpenter to linebacker, which about the same way. I mean, that a general trend?
Yeah, I think as a coach, what you try to do is just get your best players on the field. You know, but whether it be offense or defense, you want to get your best 11 players on the field and then go from there. And that's probably, I'm sure Frank's doing the same thing that we're doing, is trying to get that accomplished. He's done a great job. You know, we're spending all his time talking about his offense. He's got 6 of 7 of his front 7 are seniors on defense. I mean, they play good defense. They play extremely hard. They run to the ball, and that defensive front's a handful. That nose guard's about 315 pounds, and he can play.
So Travis Carey, Gerald Moore in the secondary, is that secondary about as good as it was last year?
They're solid. I mean, they're extremely, you know, they got clones up there. I mean, they got good football players that, you know, they lost that middle backer from a year ago, and that was an excellent player, and they plugged another guy in and didn't look any different than he did. So I mean, one thing that they've done a great job of is that they've recruited, and if you look at them, I mean, they got a couple of young kids on defense, but like I say, 6 of the front 7 are seniors, and they lost a few of those guys a year ago, so they just continue to plug them in. And you know, he does a good job of redshirting all the kids that come in there, and by the time they're, you know, 4th and 3rd year juniors or 4th year juniors and seniors, they're good players, and there's no exception. They're all good. They're good.
Speaking of your secondary, is Darryl Roberts any closer to making a comeback?
I thought he's getting closer. He's getting closer. I thought the corners played well last week. They had an opportunity to make 12 plays, made 11 of them. You know, Pack dropped the one interception that may have scored on, but other than that, they played well. Safeties were similar. I think they had one missed play the entire game, made a lot of tackles. But to answer your question, Roberts is getting closer to getting back, yes.
Yeah. Do you think you could see him this week? Or?
No, I doubt this week, but he's 2 or 3 weeks away, a couple of weeks maybe.
And is Tron still in the same quarterback?
Limbo, yeah, he's in limbo. Of course, A.J. Leggett, we mentioned after the game, won't play. He's just had surgery.
Speaking of turnovers, how happy were you to see your D get one and put it in the end zone?
Well, that was great. I think we need to get more. I mean, we've got to continue to take care of the ball, and we've got to continue to create more turnovers on defense. We're not getting enough, and you know, we got to force a few more fumbles, a few more turnovers defensively, and we got to continue to take care of it on offense.
See a guy like Cato, and you know his competitive spirit. How big of a redemption game after the struggles up at Peyton Stadium is this for him? Do you think he takes that personally?
I don't know if it's redemption. Yeah, I think he's, you know, he just got to go out. He's done a good job preparing every week, and I mean, he understands he didn't play well. You know, anytime you go up and turn the ball over 6 times, you're not going to beat anybody, and he understands that, and our football team understands that, and you know, we know we got an excellent team coming in here, and we're going to focus this week on just getting better as a team, because we got like I say, we got a great challenge Saturday night.
Is it one of those deals, though, where you know, which side are you on? Do you want him to remember that and want there to be a chip on his shoulder? Or you
Well,
just want to
you
chip it
know,
up with
I just want him to learn from his mistake. You know, they've learned from his mistake. I think he learned from it a year ago afterwards. You know, he understands if you turn it over, you got no chance. You know, and I think he learned from it a year ago. I think the biggest thing that our team needs to understand is they're an excellent football team. That if you don't prepare, you're gonna get beat. And I think they understand that. They sure learned that a year ago. Not that, and you know, they got to do a great job this week.
Talk about trying to contain Kettleton. I think one of the things he does real well is get rid of the ball and find a receiver even with pressure on. I know when I watched highlights of the Pitt State game, and he did it time after time to them where it looked like maybe they were going to have him, and he made a play.
Yeah, he can, like I say, he beat you. Anytime you get a quarterback can beat you with his feet, Woody, and he can get out. You know, he can bide time. He can get on the perimeter. He can you know, he does a great job with that speed option, and he's just a tremendous young quarterback that, not young, he's a junior, but again, he makes great decisions, he puts them in the right play, and he gets the ball to the right guy at the right time. So, you know, we got to do a great job of working to contain him. We got to do a good job of, when he does take off with it, get him on the ground. And you got to do, what happens to you at times when he starts breaking contain, gets on, you got to do a good job blanketing those receivers. You know, when he does start seeing those scramble situation, you got to get on those receivers and blanket them so they don't have guys running all over the place open. So it's a great challenge for us, but we'll work hard this week to get that done. All good? Thanks, guys.